with this Bass Pro hat.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Crimes with your host, me.
Those pants.
No.
You don't like the pants?
No, I do not like those pants. Okay. All right. So, you guys, welcome back. I figured we'd switch things up a little bit and go over the Alex Murdaugh series or case. So, let me straighten my crown. So really quick, I'm going to say hello to everybody, and then we'll get into it. I think that the Dynasty has fallen, you guys. So let's see. My sister's here, and Killshot's here, and Fox, and Wheezy, and Blind. You was not here yesterday because I wasn't live yesterday, but okay. Thank you, Kursuma. Kursuma's here. It is regal. That's my word. Or no, it's not my word, actually. It wasn't my word. It was somebody else's. So, the queen is not getting her crown back. I like my crown. It lights up, even though y'all can't see it right now. But anyways, so Alex Murdaugh trial has been going on. Today is day 22. We are not going to recap the last 21, the last 20 days, because we're going to recap 21 and 22. Just because Alex is on the stand, and he has decided that he wanted to give his testimony. The judge allowed that to happen yesterday, so he took the stand yesterday. And so I wanted to just go through it and just see what you guys think, and what we think the verdict is going to be at the end of this. If you do not, no, Killshot does not have the crown. Killshot wishes he had the crown. So, and the queen thinks that it's hers, but it's not. It's mine. Tonight, anyways. So I figured we could just, kind of recap it, go through it. If you have not watched the Netflix series that came out, I highly, highly suggest going and watching it. I watched it. It's only a couple of episodes, and it's more of like the background of the Murdaugh family. And the Murdaugh family is not at all an innocent family. Kristen hit it on the nail today. I knew it reminded me of something, like watching these attorneys talk reminded me of like the old time Law and Order shows. What was it? What was that? That lawyer, the old white man with the white hair that had that very Southern accent. This is what this trial reminds me of. Like straight up horrible acting skills. Like it does not even feel like you are in a real trial at all with this case. But Alex Murdaugh decided he was going to take the stand, and he was going to say what he felt he needed to say, which happens to be that he did lie to the officers. But then comes back, and while he's on the stand, makes this wonderful statement that he doesn't believe that was a lie. So we're going to watch this. We're going to commentary it. I want you guys to let me know what you think. While things are kind of settling, this is kind of going to be what we're going to have to do. There's not a whole lot going on. So we'll commentary this. We'll be commentarying Madalena's court case next week. Crazy mama. And thank you, Nana. And then we will be commentarying Leilani's court appearance at the end of March. So it's going to be quite a bit of commentary coming up in the next couple of weeks, okay? So y'all stick with me. It should be fun. Everybody likes my commentary anyways. What my mouth doesn't say, my face definitely does. So, hey, Gray. All right, so I'm going to pull this up. I am using Court TVs, and I need to put that in the description. I forgot. So I'm going to mute. I will pause it when I need to. I will be checking my chat. Yep. Let's share this. And then let's go back over here.
Adjust that microphone. And if you don't mind stating your full name again and spelling your last name.
I'm Alec Murdaugh, Murdaugh. Good morning.
Mr. Murdaugh, on June 7th, 2021, did you take this gun or any gun like it and shoot your son Paul in the chest in the feed room at your property off Moselle Road?
No, I did not.
Mr. Murdaugh, did you take this gun or any gun like it and blow your son's brains out on June 7th or any day or any time?
No, I did not.
Mr. Murdaugh, did you take a 300 blackout such as this and fire it into your wife Maggie's leg, torso, or any part of her body?
No, I did not.
Did you shoot a 300 blackout into her head, causing her death?
Mr. Griffin, I didn't shoot my wife or my son anytime. Ever.
Titanium. It was Matlock. Thank you. Thank you. But this isn't the attorney that gives me Matlock feelings. But then Kristen today was like, it's like Dynasty has fallen. Like, and I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what this reminds me of, is a real life Dynasty story. And to think that it's all because Alec Murdaugh, I don't know, just lost his mind. Oh, I think Wheezy is telling the queen to be respectful. She wants my crown. She's not getting it. So, yes, but Matlock. And as soon as the other attorney starts talking, you guys will get the same sense of, that Matlock series, TV show. And, I don't know. I mean, they jumped right into this, Mr. Murdaugh, did you shoot your son with this gun or any other gun? No, I did not. Mr. Murdaugh, did you shoot your wife with this here gun or any other gun? No, I did not. Yeah, I don't believe you, Mr. Murdaugh.
Mr. Murdaugh, is that you on the kennel video at 8:44 p.m. on June 7th, the night Maggie and Paul were murdered?
It is.
Were you, in fact, at the kennels at 8:44 p.m. on the night Maggie and Paul were murdered?
I was.
Did you lie to SLED Agent Owen and Deputy Laura Rutland on the night of June 7th and told them that you stayed at the house after dinner?
I did lie to them.
Did you lie to Agent Owen and Agent Croft on the follow-up interview on June 10th that the last time you saw Maggie and Paul was at dinner.
I did lie to them.
And in the interview of August 11th, did you tell Agent Owen and Agent Croft, did you lie to them by telling them that you were not down at the kennels on that night?
Yes.
Alec, why did you lie to Agent Owen, Agent Croft, and Deputy Rutland about the last time you saw Maggie and Paul?
As my addiction evolved over time, I would get in these situations or circumstances where I would get paranoid thinking. It could be anything that triggered it. It might be a look somebody gave me. It might be a reaction somebody had to something I did. It might be a policeman following me in a car. That night, June 7th, after finding Mags and Paul, don't talk to anybody without Danny with you. All my partners were just repeatedly telling me that. I had a deputy sheriff taking gunshot test from my hands. I'm sitting in a police car with David Owen asking me about my relationship with my wife and my son. And all those things coupled together after finding them, coupled with my distrust for SLED, caused me to have paranoid thoughts. Normally, when these paranoid thoughts would hit me, I could take a deep breath real quick, and just think about it, reason my way through it, and just get past it really quickly. On June the 7th, I wasn't thinking clearly. I don't think I was capable of reason. And I lied about being down there. And I'm so sorry that I did. I'm sorry to my son Buster. I'm sorry to Grandma and Papa T. I'm sorry to both of our families. Most of all, I'm sorry to Mags and Pawpaw. I would never intentionally do anything to hurt either one of them. Ever. Ever.
Did
Okay. First of all, if he is innocent, he didn't kill his son and his wife. He didn't convince me. So if I was a juror, that definitely did not convince me. But I will also say that Amber Heard pretty much messed me up from ever being a juror. I don't buy it. Right. And the fact that he says intentionally, I would never intentionally. Okay, so you accidentally done it? Mr. Murdaugh.
you continue lying after that night? Did you not?
But once I lied, I continued to lie. Yes, sir.
Why?
You know, oh, what a tangled web we weave. But once I told the lie, then I told my family.
Fox, did you just catch what Mr. Alec Murdaugh just said? Huh. Hey, Sway. So, he said it. You know, once you lie, you got to keep lying. You can't. You're going to continuously be lying. Not with this crayon, my dear. Well, what a tangled web you did weave there, sir.
I had to keep lying.
But don't worry, guys. It's because he's paranoid. He's paranoid from his drug addiction. Well, the reason I was saying that is because Foxy the other day was, we were trying to remember that quote, and it's odd that just a couple of days later, Alec says the exact same thing that we had to say.
Alex, tell the jury what happened on the evening of June 7th, starting when you met with Paul.
I'd been at work that day, a fairly normal day. You mean start in the morning or?
Sure, start in the morning.
It was just a regular morning. Maggie was leaving to go out of town. She was going to a doctor's appointment, and she had some stuff to do at Edista, where she was having some work done on our house at Edista. But Maggie was there that morning. She went to leave, and she told me she was doing these things. I always ask Maggie to come back home and stay with me. But anyway, Maggie had left. She did her thing. I went to work, did work. I learned from Paul that.
Who's Paul?
That's Paul, my son Paul Murdaugh.
And
I would have asked the same thing, because here in the South, when we say Pawpaw, we're not talking about somebody named Paul. We're talking about our Pawpaw, our grandpa, our grandfather. So his nicknames for these people, as we go along, you will hear more nicknames. He doesn't need to come up with nicknames. No, he doesn't.
And your name for him was Paul.
Yeah, we called him Paul.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And Buster, Maggie, I called him Paul or Paul Terry, but Mags called him Paul. Buster called him Paul. A lot of people called him Paul. But anyway, I learned about I'd known that CB, the guy that worked for us, had sprayed the sunflowers. I knew about that, but I'd been out of town. I didn't know they were dead. Paul let me know they had died. So we had to replant the Dove field. That's how Dove field, which the Dove field is just a big social part of having property. People would come, and it's just a social big part of it. So the Dove field was a big deal. So when the sunflowers got killed, we knew they were dead. Paul was coming home. And I learned that early Monday morning.
And and we'll catch back up, but at some point in time, did you meet up with Paul?
Yeah. After work, I met Paul at the property.
And we're going to backfill and talk about more of the day, but I just want to focus in on that evening right now.
Okay.
When Paul gets to the property, what do y'all do?
First thing we do is we go to the Dove field, and we look at the Dove field. And
How'd you get to the Dove field?
he had come in my brother's.
So Paul and Alec are going to the dove, like the bird, dove field. The sunflowers, and what he said, the sunflowers have died. CB is replanting them. I don't know. I don't understand what this has to do with. I don't understand what it has to do with anything.
Truck. We got in my son Buster's black pickup truck. We called it Buster's truck, or the black pickup truck. You've heard it called too, but I call it Buster's truck.
Okay, so you're in Buster's truck and you go to the Dove field. Tell Jerry what else.
Well, that's the first thing we do. We go to the Dove field and we look, and it's clearly it didn't. You could tell they were. I mean, you could tell they'd been sprayed, and you could tell they were dead. I mean, they might have still had a tiny bit of life, but they were dead. So we knew that. So we knew we had to replant the whole field. So that didn't take but a second. But after that, Paul. We just rode the property. We spent time together. We rode around and we spent time together on the property.
Did you go to the duck pond?
Oh yeah, we went to several food plots. We went to Single Oak Stand, we called it, which is across the road. We went to the bridge stand. We went to the duck pond where we stayed for a minute. And
Hurry back, sister.
Did you?
I can remember the duck pond specifically because I helped Paul plant the Dove field and the corn in the Dove field. So sunflowers, corn. And I helped him plant the corn in the Dove field. Paul had planted the duck pond by himself, and he's making a really big deal to me about how much better the corn was doing in the duck pond than it was in the Dove field. We stayed there for a little while. We were at the cabin for a little while. We rode around the cabin looking at it.
No, cabin is what?
That's it's just a little small. It's truly a cabin. It's a 4-room structure. It's got a little living area, a little kitchen. It's got 2 little bedrooms and 1 little bathroom. And this is what you've heard talk about where the kids stayed some summers. And
is that what the jury's seen? Some overhead pictures. It's just right there on Moselle Road.
yeah, it's right up on Moselle Road, and it's very close to the driveway that goes to the shop and the kennels.
Did you spend any time at the shop, you think?
Oh yes, I mean the shop was. That was sort of the hub. That was the main place. If you weren't at the house, you might be out going to this field or this food plot or this duck pond or this part of the river, but the shop is where the kennels were located. You know, that was, you were always there. Something was always going on there. You're always doing something there. That's where all the tools were. That's where all the equipment was kept. I mean, that was the main hub.
Right.
And so we were there that day. I mean, it was a point in time where we unloaded the bulldozer that had been on a different part of the property. It was on a trailer. We unloaded it, sprayed it down real quick. That was just one of the many things we did that day.
One of the things the jury's seen, Alec, is a Snapchat video of you and doing something with a tree. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
So what was happening there?
That's just part of when we were riding. That particular location where that was is at a food plot that we called Sawtooth Oaks, and it was named that because there were some sawtooth oaks that were planted there that you can't see in the picture. But what that tree is, at all these food plots, there's an area where it's not as big as a field, but it's like a field where you plant vegetation for wildlife. Like it might be cowpeas or soybeans, but you plant, and then there's a feeder to attract deer. Then we planted these little fruit trees on these stands, and what you see me doing is fooling with a fruit tree that I'd been tending to. It had fallen over. I had straps on it. I had strings on it that were holding it up. One of the strings popped. I undid the other string, and it was falling over, and Pawpaw was laughing at me trying to get it back upright. And it was just a fruit tree that I'd been dealing with for years, and it wouldn't stand up straight.
And were you and Paul having a good time at that point?
You could not be around Pawpaw You could not be around him and not have a good time.
Were you close to Paul?
You couldn't be.
So I don't know what the relationship between him and Pawpaw was. I would think that a father and son had a bond. But when I'm listening to this part, I don't at all feel like they were very well bonded. Maybe him and Buster have a better relationship than him and Paul, maybe. Paul seemed to be more of the troublemaker in the family, and Daddy seemed to always have to be getting him out of trouble. And Daddy came to the rescue more times than, anybody could ever imagine, I'm sure. We only know of a few times where he saved or tried to save. But Paul was not an innocent young man by any means. Did he deserve his life? To be taken? No. Did Maggie deserve her life to be taken? No. The man is a lawyer. Alex Murdaugh is a lawyer, and he seems to be playing it very well. So the question is, now he admits to lying to the officers the night of the murders. It was not I. It was not I. I didn't do it. Feel shot.
Be any closer than Papa and Buster and I were in our. He's just wonderful. Wonderful.
And it's one of the things you enjoyed doing together was just riding the property?
I love doing anything with Papa. It was an absolute delight. But yeah, one of the things, I mean, Paul's passion. I mean, Paul was passionate about a lot of things, but that property was really a passion of his. I mean, he loved to work it. He loved to work with fields. He loved to work with food plots. He loved to hunt. I mean, he'd work on the roads. I mean, he would work on all of it. I mean, he would work on the structure. I mean, he worked on the whole property. It was his passion.
So on the evening of the 7th, jury's been inundated with data from various different sources, but
Sure.
just ballpark, can you, knowing, what we know now after reviewing everything, but roughly when do you remember Paul getting there and you getting there and starting to ride the property?
Now that I've had the benefit of seeing all of these records, Papa got home, I believe, a little bit before 7:00, and I got home a little bit before him. I think the details had been that I got home around 6:42 or 6:45 or something like that, and Paul got there, very quickly thereafter,
And then,
by 7:00.
so you rode the property for a while. Do you remember when Maggie arrived?
Yeah, it was later than that. It was 8 or after 8. I think it was after 8 and looking at the records, a little bit after 8.
And do you remember her arriving or where you were when she arrived?
I believe that I was at the shop when she came through, which would not be unusual for her having been away. If Blanca had gotten the mail or somebody had gotten the mail, maybe not. But if somebody had not gotten the mail, it would be perfectly normal for her to pull through there. And I believe she did pull through there that day. And Paul and I were at the shop, I believe.
And then what did you do after Maggie arrived?
Maggie went to the house, and I know that.
They spent a lot of time together that day. I wonder if this is like normal for them to spend this much time together. A lot happened this day.
But shortly after, however, I learned that Maggie got home, I went to the house when Maggie got home, and I left Paul at the shop.
So, and what did you do when you got to the house?
I saw Mags, talked to Mags, and I took a shower.
The clothes that we saw in that Snapchat video was that the clothes you had at work that day?
Yes, those are the clothes I had on at work that day.
And the jury's seen you in those clothes and what's on June 7th. How tall were you and how much did you weigh?
On June 7th, well, I'm a hair over 6'4", right?
Okay, so I will say before he answers this question, the man has lost a lot of weight. I don't think his height would change. I mean, they say you shrink when you're older, but he's not a small man. But if you look at his photos prior to the murders, he had on quite a bit more weight than he has on now. So, I mean, honestly, I think it has to do with, one, the drugs, and two, he's lost even more weight since he's been in jail. So apparently jail food has not been, all that great to Mr. Alec Murdaugh. But he said it best, all the tangled webs we weave. And I wonder if his family really, really believes that he didn't do this. Like, they all stood by him, but I really, really wonder if they wholeheartedly believe he did not.
At 6'4", on June the 7th, I was about 265 pounds, 264, 265.
And this was in June, June 7th.
Yes, sir.
When you're outside, riding around, and do you get hot and sweaty?
Absolutely. I mean, Paul and I had done some things. We unloaded the bulldozer, cleaned the bulldozer, we fooled around. Yeah, I mean, I sweated. I was heavy, and taking prescription pills also makes you sweat worse, or at least taking oxycodone makes you sweat more than you normally do.
So in other words, he had swamp butt from working and taking opioids. See, these are the details that I don't think are necessary.
So was it unusual for you to take a shower when you got back to the house?
Not at all.
And after you took a shower, what did you change into?
I changed into the clothes that you've seen in this trial, shorts and the shirt.
Okay. When you got out of the shower and changed clothes, what did you do next?
I went back out where Mags and Pawpaw were, and
What were
for
they
dinner.
doing? What's going on?
Mags had, as you've heard, Blanca had prepared dinner, but it had been cooked earlier. Mags had fixed. I know Mags had fixed mine and her plate because I didn't fix her plate. She may have fixed Pawpaw. Pawpaw was eating, and Pawpaw was almost done eating by the time I got back out, which also wasn't unusual. I mean, Pawpaw was always on the go. I mean, he never sat still. And, he'd sit down and eat, but then he's going on to his next item.
And
So then Maggie and I ate.
and you all eat at the table? Do you eat at the den? What's your normal habit?
We would do both, but I mean, when we ate at the table, it was really sort of more formal or not formal, but just more of an organized thing. What we would normally do on a regular evening is we would eat in the den in front of the TV. And that's where we ate that day. I ate on the couch, the table. Maggie had a little a TV tray that she kept over there, and Pawpaw would usually sit in a recliner and eat off of the ottoman.
Was the TV on?
Yes,
Was that normal for the TV to be on?
yes. TV, if we were in the house, the TV was on.
So what happened next, Al?
Pawpaw moved on doing whatever he was doing. I don't know if he was in the gun room doing something or he was in his room doing.
Okay. I think it's weird that he keeps calling him Pawpaw and not Paul. Because, see, I don't remember, and I haven't watched it in a while, but I don't remember during the interview him calling him Pawpaw so much. I remember it being Paul. I mean, I know they play it again during this testimony, but in Fox. And the Dewey Dairy Air, we're not going to go on that subject. But it's just better word for swamp butt, in case you need a new word. I am going to speed this up a little bit because they're just talking too slow.
Doing something. He was outside doing something. I actually thought he'd gone to the shed, but in looking at to the shop, but in looking at the benefit of having these records that we have, I know he was still at the house, or somewhere around the house, doing something, but he wasn't in there with Maggie and I. But Maggie wanted to go to the kennels, and I had eaten dinner. I laid back on the couch where I was sitting. Maggie wanted to go to the kennels, and she asked me to go, and I didn't go at that time. I didn't want to go.
Why didn't you want to go?
It was hot. I just had a shower. I knew I'd end up doing more work, sweating more, and the dogs is always a chaotic scene, and I just didn't want to go right then.
Well, let me ask you, what have you done the previous days, like Friday, Saturday, or Sunday?
Start with Friday or go backwards?
Yeah, let's start with Friday.
All right, on that,
Just briefly.
so 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th. So June the 4th, my dad was in the hospital in Savannah, Georgia, at Memorial Hospital. And I went down to visit him Friday afternoon, and I stayed with him in the hospital. I spent the night there. You know, he was real sick. I mean, he was having
He's a
a
good
hard time.
son.
Did you get much sleep Friday night?
No, I mean, I had a real sweet nurse found me. At first, there was just a hard chair in there like this, but a nurse found me a soft chair, sort of like a recliner. So, I mean, I'm sure I slept, but I didn't sleep. You know, I didn't get a night's sleep.
And then Saturday and Sunday?
Saturday, we had plans with Buster in Brooklyn. Y'all heard about Brooklyn? It's Buster's wonderful little girlfriend. And Max and I had plans with them to meet them in Columbia to go to the South Carolina. It was a regional baseball tournament. The South Carolina was playing Virginia, I believe. So when I got back from Savannah and met up with Max, at some point we headed to Columbia. So there wasn't a lot going on in between there. So we headed up to Columbia and met Bus in Brooklyn.
And did you stay in Columbia Saturday night?
We did. We went to the ball game, and I remember it was an evening game. We went pretty early and tailgated. Maggie had reconnected with a college friend who coincidentally had married a college friend of mine, and they had a son that played for Carolina. He was a first baseman and a really good little player.
Ooh, go Tar Heels.
We met them and tailgated with them. It was a lot of fun. They had a lot of parents of the players that were playing for Carolina, and it was a fun time. We tailgated, and then we went to, and it was a night game, so we went to the game, and the game got over. It was fairly late into the evening, and after that, Bus, Brooklyn, and Madge and I believe we went to the restaurant in the hotel where we were staying, but we went and had dinner, and then Bus and Brooklyn went home, and of course Maggie and I went to our room.
And then get up the next day, is there another game?
Another game the next day. That's right. And
then after that, you head back to Moselle with Maggie?
yeah, we went to the game. That's right. Maggie and I go back to Moselle.
The jury's heard about thinking it's rats.
So now they're just having a weekend of just fun. So how does it end with 2 lives being taken? And not just, they were brutally shot. You go from having these fun weekend days at the Carolina ball games. I'm sorry, I'm a Tar Heel fan, so the Carolina games are always worth going to. This just,
talking about you bringing Krispy Kreme donuts to your
I mean,
dad.
who
Maggie
cares
loved
if they had donuts?
She spoiled my dad and always taking him something. My dad loved sweets, and I picked up donuts and took Krispy Kreme donuts to him.
And then y'all both spent the night together at Moselle on Sunday night. Did you both spend the night at Moselle on Sunday night?
Yes,
And then the 7th was a work day?
that's right. It's a Monday, June 7th. Oh, I'm sorry.
Was Monday the 7th a work day for you?
Yes,
And I just wanted to do that background. So moving forward to when you testified previously about Maggie asking you to go to the kennels, were you tired?
oh yes, I was tired.
And you had just had a shower.
Just had a shower.
And you said that, well, did you go with Maggie to the kennels immediately?
No, I did not.
What'd
You
you
didn't
do
want to go, remember?
when she leave?
Yes, she did. She left and Pawpaw was gone.
You know how she got to the kennels?
At the time, I didn't, but now looking at these condensed records and understanding the timeline, it's clear to me that she rode with Pawpaw.
And did you stay in the house
Yes,
for how long?
not long. I laid back on the couch, put my feet up, and like many times when Maggie asked me to do something that I didn't want to do or didn't start out doing, I changed my mind and decided I'm gonna ride up there. And I did.
And how did you get to the kennels?
I went on a golf cart.
Was the golf cart at the house?
Yeah. And it was there most of the time.
And when you got down to the kennel,
Okay, so it has been predicted at other times prior to this testimony that Mr. Murdaugh was on a golf cart when, or someone, excuse me, the shooter was on a golf cart. Kind of odd that Mr. Murdaugh got to the kennels on a golf cart. So, do tell, Mr. Murdaugh.
kennels, what was happening?
It's just what I thought it was. It was a little bit of chaos. I mean, it's clear to me that Max had just let the dogs out. The two dogs that were out were really her pet dogs. One is Grady. You've heard about a black lab. That's Grady. That's Buster's dog. And the other is the yellow lab that you've heard about. That's Bubba. Bubba was mine and Maggie's dog, but it was really mine, Maggie's, Bus, and Pawpaw's dog. It was a family dog. But Bubba's the dog I hunted. I mean, Maggie loved Bubba. She loved Grady too, but I mean, she had a special place with Bubba. But anyway, when the dogs first were let out, the first thing they would do is they would run. If you look at that overhead picture that you've seen, there were planted pines right behind the kennels. So you got the kennels and the chicken coop sort of form an L shape. And in that L was some planted pines. First thing the dogs would do is go out in that kennel and, you know, Bubba and Grady, I think, learned this from Bubba, but Grady would do it too. But Bubba had to mark every tree. I mean, he would go and he'd do a little number on this tree and that tree. You know how dogs do, and it's marking his territory. And so that was the first thing those dogs did when they came out. When I got there, those dogs were in that area. So that's why I believe that it hadn't been long before they'd been let out. Grady was chasing guineas, which was a normal thing to do.
What are guineas?
Guinea fowl is like it's like a chicken. It's a domestic bird that, you know, we had them. They make a lot of racket. It's like I know this sounds silly, but it's like a guard bird.
So, essentially, he has hunting dogs. And I'm sorry, but that attorney knows what a guinea is. I don't even know why we needed to make him explain what a guinea is. Anyone in the South knows what a guinea is. I don't think Mr. Murdaugh is a very good liar. And he's an attorney, so he should not be nervous. And I feel like on the stand, he is very, very nervous. But he knows how to eye down that jury. Because he is speaking directly to them.
Because anytime, they just make a lot of racket anytime anything unusual is going on. If anything disturbs them, to be a person, somebody driving up, whatever, they're going to make a lot of racket. So Grady's chasing the guineas. Paul's fooling with Rogan's dog Cash. Maggie's just kind of standing there watching the dogs, which is normal. And they were in that place. As the dogs are out longer, they branch out more. But at that point in time, they were right there. So that told me they hadn't been out a long time. Bubba catches a chicken.
Aww.
I'm talking to Maggie for just a short time before Bubba catches the chicken. I take the chicken, put it when Bubba didn't chase. These dogs didn't chase the chickens to kill them, and they didn't normally kill them. They did kill them sometimes, but it was about chase with those dogs, and they were proud when they caught one. You could just tell by the way Bubba would prance to you when he brought the chicken to you. He was proud that he had caught it, but he wasn't trying to kill it. And so most times the chicken wasn't dead, and that chicken wasn't dead. But a lot of times they would be stunned, and they would be just real lethargic. So you had to take the chicken, and you had to put it up somewhere where, the chicken could be by itself for a minute, and it would eventually, usually, come back to normal and go about its, whatever chicken does.
Did you get the chicken out of Bubba's mouth?
I did. I took the chicken from Bubba and I put it on top of that.
Now we've seen, this video of Paul with Cash, Rogan's dog. Did you know that was going on? What do you remember about that?
Yeah, I knew Paul was fooling with when I pulled up on the golf cart, Maggie was standing back sort of where the driveway would be. It sort of runs out at the feed room. Storage room is what we call it. It's been called the feed room. But it sort of ran out. Maggie was a little bit further up where she could see back in that angle where the dogs were. Paul was fooling with Rogan's dog back towards the kennel. If I remember when I first got there, Paul was more in the driveway. But then I knew Paul was in the kennel fooling with Cash, yes. But did I know what he was doing? I didn't know exactly what he was doing, no. I knew he was fooling with his tail.
But was Cash in the kennel when you pulled up, you think?
Not when I first got there.
Did Bubba and Grady have any collars on?
Yes.
Which, both dogs, one dog, do you remember?
I don't know about Grady, but I know Bubba had on his, what we call a tracking collar. Paul, for his hunting dogs, Paul had a series of tracking collars. And I think there were 5, it might have been 6, but it's a tracking collar that had a device that would tell you where that collar was. So that Bubba was bad about, he stay close for a minute, but then he would take off. And he especially do that on Maggie. He would take off and run. And so he had on a tracking collar that if he did that, you could, you could know, okay, he's, half a mile down here. It's not going to follow him, but so far, but it would follow a good long distance. So you could go get the dog if he ran off, which Bubba frequently would do, especially when it was just Mags and Bubba. And so Paul.
I am Emery. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. If you haven't already, you guys, please hit that like. I forgot to say that. And yes, KDM, he is innocent until proven guilty. And I'm going to go ahead and say that, Kristen and I have had our discussions about this trial. Really?
I didn't know.
I predict that this is not going to be a situation where all the juries agree at the end of this. I don't foresee this being, yep, he's guilty, or nope, he's not guilty.
Are you hungry?
And at the end of the day, if he's not guilty, somebody is. If he actually did not commit the crimes that he allegedly committed, somebody did. Somebody shot those two people. Yes, Kursuma. I that's what I feel is going to be the case. And he's had plenty of time to plan this all out, and he does not have dumb attorneys by no means. But it goes to show that money can make
Probably
a
would
big
have
difference.
put that on Bubba.
So you got to swear you've gotten chicken out of Bubba's mouth and put it up on a doghouse or something?
I believe what I put it on, and I don't remember this, but I've seen pictures and all this, and I saw the chicken sitting on top of the what looks to me like a portable dog crate. Wherever it was sitting on there is where I would have put it up there. You know, any reason to believe anybody else moved that chicken, and it ultimately that chicken did die.
And what did you do after you got the chicken out of Bubba's mouth?
I got out of there. I left. I went back to the house.
Well, before we do that, we've seen the dog kennel video with Cash and Mr. Davis. And we slowed down for him. Did you see the water hose in that video on the ground? You remember seeing that?
Yes, I did.
Was the water hose out?
Obviously, in the video, but I don't specifically remember that, but I can look in that video and see it.
Right.
But that's not something that I noticed.
So, but you've seen it in the video here.
Yes, sir.
And then the two dogs were out.
Absolutely. Bubba and Grady.
And then you had how did you get back to the house?
Same route. Same route I come on. I came down the driveway, made a left on, you saw my route in the car. I drove that same route.
Okay.
Obviously was clear enough. What, were you in a vehicle? You walked? What mode of transportation did you use to get back to the house?
Same way I came. I went back in the golf cart. And it was the golf cart, if you remember, that Mark Ball testified that he saw where we normally would park it. You pull along the front entrance, and you come in from the left and you go just past it and be on the right, and you come in from the right and you'd be just past it on the left. And that's where I got in it, and that's where I put it back.
Did you do anything else before leaving after you took the chicken out of Bubba's mouth?
No.
We've heard about Bubba being stubborn. How long did it take you to get the chicken out of Bubba's mouth?
Well, Bubba could be stubborn, but Bubba would listen to me. And another thing, when Bubba had on that collar, one of the other features of that collar was
Did Bubba have on the collar or was it Greg?
Bubba had on the collar.
Bubba had the collar.
I know Bubba had a collar on, and I'm not sure about Grady.
Okay.
If I misspoke on that, there's no question about it. Bubba had on the collar. I assume Grady did too, but I didn't. Even though I saw Grady, I didn't notice for the fact that Grady had on the collar. But he probably did.
So
Makes sense to me that he did.
how long did it take to get the chicken out of Bubba's mouth?
It didn't take long. Number one, Bubba's coming back there to show me, hey, I caught this chicken. So he's not running from me. He's proud of that fact that he caught this chicken. So I mean, he comes right up to me. Bubba was really strong, but you know, you take your thumb when the dog's clenched and his mouth's a little bit open. All you do is you take your thumb and you push his gum in really tight against those sharp teeth, and his mouth opens right up. Took the chicken out, put it on, I believe, the portable dog kennel,
And then left.
and then I left.
Then leave. And
Does anybody else find any of this relevant to how Paul and Maggie ended up shot to death? Like a chicken in a dog's mouth, I don't think has anything to do with it.
I'm gonna use her.
Did prosecution question him at all about being on the golf cart and that Maggie had tire marks from said golf cart on her body? That should have. Did. I don't know. I don't remember. Emery, I don't. I know that there was a lot asked about the state that the bodies were in, but that was at the beginning. We're 22 days in, so. Oh, wrong page. Hold on, you guys.
You go back to the house.
I went straight back to the house, to the air conditioner.
And what did you do when you got back to the house?
I lay down on the couch.
And then what? Well, I mean, was TV on when you went back?
Yeah, the TV never got cut off.
So you went back to the house, you laid down on the couch, and then what happened next?
I'm not positive I dozed off for a minute or didn't doze off for a minute, but I got up off of the couch and I made up my mind I was going to visit my mom.
Had you spoken to Barbara Mixon earlier in the day?
I did. I
And,
talked to Barbara most days. If I didn't see her, I talked to her.
and what was your understanding of your mother's condition late on the afternoon of the 7th?
She was agitated, which she got agitated when my dad, we were putting my dad in the hospital. I mean, he had a lot over the 18 months, 2 years. I mean, my dad was in the hospital. He was in the hospital a lot. And my mom, I believe my mom knew when my dad wasn't there because, she would get agitated. I mean, that's just the only term you can think of. She'd get agitated. She'd cry a lot. She'd be fussy when she normally wouldn't be fussy. I know Alzheimer's patients are unpredictable, but I'm convinced she knew because it happened frequently. And Barbara Ann told me, your mom's agitated. You need to check on her. I gave her medicine. She's resting. So it wasn't anything urgent, but she's resting. So what Barbara would do, and Barbara could handle her better than, my mama, we all love Barbara. My mama loved Barbara. Barbara could get my mom to do things that nobody else, when she'd fuss for anybody else, including me or my brothers or my sisters, Barbara could get her, in order. And, but Barbara had given her medicine and to settle her down and calm her down. And that would sometimes make her go to sleep for a little while. But then she'd be agitated when she woke up.
So did you go check on your mom?
I did.
Where did you park when you got there?
You saw the pictures. There's 2 exits off of that deck. One of them to the right, one of them straight out that back door. I would have parked to the left. If you're coming down these steps, if these are the steps, it would be to the left and back over there.
All right.
Which is where I always parked, or where we always parked, anytime you were going in that entrance.
All right, I'm going to stop there and ask Doug, if you don't mind pulling up States Exhibit 524, which is the GM OnStar data, and slide 38, which is in evidence. Can you see this the slide with those dots?
Yes, sir.
Alec?
I can.
And the red dots here at the that seem to be joined. Where is that in relation to your parents' house?
Where the arrow is?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's back in the area where I'm talking about. All right, so if you look in this picture, all right, you see you see the open area with the green grass? That's the front door. Okay, yeah, right where that circle is. That's the front door. If you look closely at the house, you can see a big dormer right in the middle of the roof. That's right over the front door. The white thing to the left of the house, that's like a parking pad where the driveway ends. And there's a parking pad. So you go, if you follow the driveway all the way to the house, you're going to run straight into a carport, all right, by the carport door. Just to the left, before you get to the carport, is this area that you can see here. That's part driveway, mainly parking pad.
All right, I'm going to, Doug, if you'll pull up Defendant's Exhibit 130, which is in evidence, please, sir.
Yeah.
And from this photo, can you point out roughly where you normally, where you park that evening?
All right, this is the entrance to the right that I'm talking about. There's an exit and an entrance right in front of that door that you see there. So if you came down those steps, walk to your left, would be down there would be where I park.
Oh, would you park on the ground?
You get on the edge of the grass back there. There's some grass there for sure, but it's not the area up here by the house where it's sodded and this grass that you can really see in this picture. So it may be on it.
So right now they're talking about when he went to his mother's house, which is supposedly where he was. Alex claims that this is where he was at the time of the murders. So is it possible that he was at his mom's? Yes, but I think if you've been watching the trial, you would have already seen where they went through the phone records and stuff. And that was quite interesting. So I would say I think it was like day 3 or 4 that they talked about it. So there's a lot more to this trial, you guys. I wish now that we had started breaking this trial down from the beginning of it. Hindsight's 2020, so here we are. But Alex is on the stand yesterday and today, and for me, I felt like he was more pressuring me to believe what he was saying. Like, he spent more time confusing the attorneys, especially today. Like today, I was just like, we've gone in circles for 30 minutes over when you told the lie. Because you claim you told a lie to the officers that night, but you don't know exactly when or why, or but you're very, very sure that you had a pocket full of pills. So yeah, it's these type of things that from the outside looking in make me question Mr. Alec Murdaugh. And why he is allowed to just sit on a stand and just ramble on, I don't understand. Because normally you're going to hear objection, hearsay, or they're not just going to, they usually don't allow you to sit there. You've got to answer the question, yes or no. And that's not how this case is going at all. Like, they are literally just giving him free reign of his tongue. And I find that odd.
On the edge of the grass.
In relation to the satellite dish, are you looking at this photo? Are you to the right of that?
Yeah, you'd be to the right of that satellite dish.
Okay.
Yes.
And
I believe that satellite dish is right on the edge of the there's a hedge, and like you see I don't know what you call it, a border, like a border where the grass ends and the flower bed or whatever it is starts.
Right.
I think you can't see it, but I think that satellite's probably close to that border.
All right. Well, let's
So it'd be to the
let's
right
run
of
up.
that in this picture.
Doug, we pull up at Defendant's Exhibit 134. See if this is So
Yeah.
is the door that you're talking about?
That's it.
The stairs are those ones where you would enter?
Right. Now, these are the steps that I used that night that we always used. And one of the reasons being is my dad, this door goes into what we call the breakfast room. The breakfast room leads right into the kitchen. And so straight through this door, all of the breakfast room is kind of to the left. That door goes straight through another doorway. There's no door there, but it's like just an opening. It goes into the kitchen. immediately to your right of that entrance into the kitchen is the entrance into where my mom and dad's rooms were. So you went through that door, you were in a little area that had my mom's closet, my dad's closet. A little bit further, you go into my mom's bedroom. If you went to the right, you would go, my dad and my mom didn't sleep in the same room at this point, but the bedrooms were, they were back to back. There was a door going from one to the other. It was blocked, but it was there, and there was a bathroom. So this is really the part of the house that at their age was getting used. So that's why you went in this entrance, because my mom and whoever was caring for her was always in her bedroom, which would be just on the other side of the room that has these windows that you see to the right. All right, those would be the windows for the room where my dad slept. And then my mom's right on the other side. The kitchen's right there. This is the part of the house they were always in.
And are you the only one that would pull up in the back like that?
No.
Common for your brothers and your sisters to do the same?
Oh, we all did it. I mean, we all parked in the same way. If you knew you were going to the front of the house, or if you knew there was a crowd there, or for whatever, you may park on the driveway. But if you knew, under normal circumstances, my dad always stayed in the breakfast room where he had a recliner and a TV. That's where my dad always was. My dad you would never go catch him sitting in the den up front or in a living room. He just wasn't up there. He was in this room watching TV, or either he was on this back deck. And my mom was either in her room, which was just off of that, or she might be in the kitchen or the breakfast room.
And when you got to the house, who was there? Your mother's house on the night of June 7th.
My mom was there, and Shelley Smith was there.
And what did you do when you got there?
The first thing I did was I knocked on the door. The door was locked. I knocked on the door. Shelley didn't hear me.
And then what did you do next?
I called.
Called what?
I called my mom's house to let Shelley know I was there. Please come let me in.
And is that the house phone that's been referred to?
Yes.
Okay. And did she let you in?
Sure.
And then what happened next?
I went in and I visited with my mom. You want me to go into detail on that?
Well, just briefly. Yeah, what'd you do?
I went in the house. In my mom's bedroom, my mom had a bed that was where she slept in normal times. It was like, a bed with, the poles coming out of the corner, a poster bed that coming out of the corners. And she had a bed like that where she slept, and she didn't sleep there anymore. But it was in the room. It was a hospital bed. So when you walk in the room, her bed was to the right. Against the wall to the left was a hospital bed, like a single bed, but a hospital bed, and a TV. And then there was a recliner where whoever was helping her would usually sit. So I went in and I sat down on my mom's hospital bed. And I just talked to her for a minute. My mom was awake. And I held her hand. And
What kind of condition was she?
her condition was not good at any time, but given her overall condition, she seemed to be doing pretty well. I mean, she wasn't agitated like I thought she would be, or like I was worried she would be, or like Barbara had described her at that point. So she wasn't agitated. And, I just talked to her. Anytime we talked to my mom, we always tried to be real positive and, upbeat and just, and I just talked to her. I just talked to her, made sure she was okay.
Did you stay seated on the side of her hospital style bed, or did you move around?
I stayed there for a few minutes. I stayed there and I talked to her more than just a few seconds. And then, but I didn't stay there. She did look tired. So I got up and I went and I think I sat on my mom's bed for a minute to start with, and then I lay down on my mom's bed, which is, that's what I normally did when I went in there. There weren't like a lot of chairs to sit in, and I just laid back on the bed, talked to Shelley, and we watched TV.
And when you're talking about your mom's bed, are you referring to her regular bed?
That's right. Not her hospital bed, not the bed she was in, but her bed, the one I was talking about with like posts.
Let me skip something. Was Maggie planning to go over your mother's with you that night?
No, she wasn't planning to go with me that night. No, in fact, Maggie didn't really like to visit my mom. she loved to visit my dad, and she loved to spend time with my dad. And she spent a lot of time with my mom when my mom was healthy. But, you know, I mean, by this point, my mom, she was a shell. She was a shell of her old self. And I mean, it was kind of sad to go and visit her anytime. I mean, she wasn't healthy. And Maggie didn't like to go and just visit my mom.
When you left Moselle to head to Alameda the evening after you.
Okay. So I can understand that. His feelings on his mom. I can understand that. Because if you've ever had any experience with someone with Alzheimer's, it's a horrible disease. And you literally watch, like he said it, you know, a shell. You watch this person that has always been strong and probably independent, and you watch them deteriorate. So I totally understand where he's coming from on that. Does that make me feel like he's innocent? No. Does it make me feel like he's guilty? No. So I get what he's saying about his mother and Maggie not wanting to go visit, because some people can't handle seeing someone in that capacity, especially if it's someone that you've looked up to. And I mean, I don't know what Maggie and Alex's mother's relationship was like, but even when you have a strained relationship with your mother-in-law, you still love her. So I can understand Maggie not wanting to go if she's not the type of person that can handle watching someone with Alzheimer's deteriorate. So I hope that he was really as amazing with his mother as he claims he is or was. For most boys, that is the case. They are like that with their mamas. So I hope that in those days he really was there like he claims he was for his mama.
Go back to the house in Moselle. What exit did you use of the Moselle property when you were going to Alameda on the evening of June 7th?
I went out the main gates, which would be straight ahead. You've heard the two gates. There's the shop entrance. There's actually several entrances, but the main ones we used, there was an entrance by the Doug Field, there was an entrance further down by Sawtooth Oaks, but the main ones we used were the shop entrance and what we call the main entrance, where the brick gates were.
Did you go? Why didn't you go by the kennels on your way out?
There wasn't a reason to go by the kennels at that point, and I was going to Alameda, which the main gate would be the gates that were closest.
Did you notify Maggie in some form that you were leaving to go to see your mom?
I tried to call her.
And did she answer?
No.
And what did you do after that?
I think I tried to call her again.
And did she answer?
No, she didn't answer. And at some point, I texted her after that.
Well, the fact that she didn't answer on 2 times, did that concern you?
At that time,
Right.
it didn't concern me at all. Number one, she was with Pawpaw. So, no, I mean, number two, I mean, it's not unusual to not be able to get somebody all the time when they're at the house or they're on the property. I mean, you've heard all the testimony about how spotty cell service was. So, no, at the time, it didn't strike me as anything unusual.
Now, moving back to Alameda, you spent time with your mother, and then you left and head back to Moselle, is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you drive straight back to Moselle?
I did.
Now, there's some information from the telemetry data off your Suburban and perhaps some of this OnStar GPS data that indicates that at some point in time in your mother's driveway, you stopped for about a minute. Do you recall seeing that data?
I did.
What were you doing when you stopped?
I
Do
was
you
getting,
recall?
I was getting my phone. My phone had gotten. There was a console in the middle of my car, and my phone had gotten down in the console, between the console and the seat, where you couldn't get to it.
Were you, during that minute or however long it was, were you disposing of murder weapons out?
No,
Were you disposing of bloody clothes?
no.
And your ride back to,
I mean, he said that with like, no. No. Like, it was like the hardest no for him to say. All right, guys, I'm going to go for about another 10 minutes. We're not going to get through this tonight. So tomorrow, I think I'm just going to like work on like pulling out certain parts and having them already screen recorded so that we can like really break down these lies that he tells allegedly. Because it's I want to know what the jury's thinking right now. Like, if I could have just been inside their brains for a moment when he was on this stand, it would have been fabulous. So, and yes, sister, it is very rehearsed. I mean, it is Alec Murdaugh. And you know, he's an attorney. He handled cases. He, you know, was a prosecutor. And no, I don't, like, when he said that no, I was a little shocked at how he says no. Kind of says no the way that I tell my kids no after they've asked 1,500 times. So we'll go for a few more minutes, you guys, and then
Moselle, was it,
I'll let you guys get on with your Friday night.
you driving faster than normal?
I was driving however I drive, normal way that I drive.
What is the normal way?
When you got back to the Moselle property, how did you enter the property? What entrance did you use?
Came right back through the main gate,
And what'd you do then?
went straight to the house.
And when you got to the house, what'd you do?
I went inside.
Were the lights on when you pulled up?
The lights were on in the house for sure. I can't.
Okay. So that's probably what I would have said to. I would have been a smart butt and been like, well, I went in the house. Like, I didn't just sit in the driveway. And Candy, what speed? I've just starting it. I'm going to break it down tomorrow. I'm going to pull clips. Oh, I know their accents are, y'all can never say nothing about my Southern accent because these fellas, men, their dialect is way, way more tense than mine. But this is part of living in low country. It's also kind of what gives you that Dynasty vibe feels is the way that they talk. Very, very Southern Belle, deep South, where the money is.
Can't remember if there were floodlights on or not. I don't believe there were any floodlights
Oh.
on, but
Okay.
there was
If you want to
definitely
stay,
lights.
we'll stay, you guys.
All the lights in the house were on, yes.
And when you, how long do you stay inside the house, roughly?
Now that I've seen the benefit of these records, I was in there several minutes.
Were you surprised that Paul and Maggie had not made it back to the house?
I don't know if surprised is the right word, but I mean, I thought they would have been back by then, but I mean, did it cause me to go into any, it wasn't like I was shocked, but I mean, I thought they would be there. I mean, I distinctly remember, I went and looked. Sometimes I was very hot natured. Number one, I was hot, I was heavy, and I was taking pills. So I was always hot. Maggie was always cold.
So, Candy, I didn't know he was taking the stand yesterday either. I didn't realize that they would even ask. But they asked the judge. I mean, like literally, I'll play it back. You guys remember that where we were, okay? But it is interesting at how this took place. Candy said she didn't get to see it. So, and this judge, you guys, I'm sorry, he's just so stinky. He's just a cute old man, and hear ye. Okay. We'll watch this part and then we'll go back. But I'm not blushing. I was laughing at KDM, but I wasn't blushing. What is this? I think I just had it.
Testifying regarding.
I mean, just look at him. He's so cute.
Analysis and/or bad acts.
And he just doesn't seem like he really cares to be here.
Anything further, Mr. Harcourt? No, the court has determined that the so-called financial crimes and other crimes and/or bad acts have determined them to be relevant, material, and admissible, having given the 403, 404 analysis, as well as the res gestae analysis. And the trial has proceeded with many witnesses testifying regarding these issues. And the court will not change course during the trial and provide any special exception to Mr. Murdaugh with regard to testimony regarding the matters that the court has already determined to be admissible.
Thank you, sister.
With regard to
Thank you.
the advice of counsel, Mr. Harpoon, you stated for the record the basis for your advice. Of course, the defendants, yes, sir.
First of all the financial information, Ms. Steves, are in the record, basically. I mean, the amounts, very specifically. So, at this juncture, two things happen. One, he has not been convicted of anything in regard to financial crimes. So normally they couldn't ask him about those crimes because he hadn't been subject. They're not. They don't either. He hadn't. He had to be a crime, carry a year, or those kinds of things. It meets none of that. So then you go under 608, and it's character evidence, and it's going to be fair game. We disagree with the Fourth Circuit case. It seems to restrict it a little bit, but we disagree with the process whereby he couldn't come in unless he was convicted. He takes the stand, and they're going to ask him extensively about each and every one of these events in an effort to commit character assassination. This is what we warned about. You told the jury it only goes to motive, and this obviously goes well beyond that and vitiates Your Honor's earlier ruling, or at least it gives them 2 grounds now to argue why it's relevant. And our advice was, had that information not already come out, we would be sitting here with no financial misdeeds in the record. And we believe that the jury, high likelihood of the jury acquitting him because they haven't proved motive. They haven't proved, there's no forensic, no confession, no eyewitness. It's all, as you say, in denying our motion for directed verdict, it's circumstantial. This is just a naked effort of character assassination to influence the jury, that he has committed these financial misdeeds or misrepresented other things. And as a result, no matter what charge you give the jury, we're fearful that if he hasn't explained any of that, they will hold it against him. And again, it all goes back to the original ruling as to the motive. I'm not sure even arguing motive after Mr. Tinley's testimony and after Doss Cook's testimony, both of whom said there wasn't a storm coming on Thursday, the 10th. So again, our advice would have been different.
See, that's Matlock guy right there. That's the attorney that reminds me of Matlock.
Tell them to disregard it. We, in all likelihood, wouldn't stand or not advise him to take the stand. That's what
You just restated what you've previously put on the record and which you have argued throughout the trial, and I certainly understand and appreciate that.
It's compounded this new problem if he takes a stand. And we think, with all due respect, and I'm not arguing again what we argued a month ago, that what's going to happen is we're going to spend the next day or 3 with the state going through the minute details of each one of these offenses. We've already, in my opinion, this is a Bernie Madoff trial. This is all about financial misdeeds, not about.
That sounds like the jury argument if you were the one to make the argument. It's an argument that you.
It is not. It is. It's not. It's about murders. It's not about the money. I mean, it all boils down to money, but it wasn't his money misdoings that got him on trial for murder.
That you can make to the jury. I ruled on the issue, and I do not know what the questions that the state intends to ask. I cannot forecast the next 3 days as you have just done as to every minute detail the state will seek to introduce, and all rights are preserved as to any and all testimony and anything that is objectionable that you all wish to object to. The court will rule when those objections are made.
Your Honor, I appreciate that. All we're saying is, if they have carte blanche to go into the minute details and talk about who the victims were and do all that and do that, it's going to take a week more, especially with our objections, and then have to redirect them on that. And haven't we wasted enough time on financial matters?
All right. I'll give you an opportunity to respond if you desire.
Ron, again, the court will allow me to
Yeah, when a defendant takes a stand and testifies, he has no right to set forth to the jury all facts which may be favorable without exposing himself to cross-examination. Whether or not a defendant testifying is solely the right of that defendant, the court makes no recommendation pro or con. I have no role other than advising the defendant of his rights and to ensure that he understands his rights so that he will make an informed decision with regard to testifying after consultation with counsel and anyone else he might want to testify, consult with. Do you wish me to engage in that colloquy at this time, Mr. Murdaugh?
Your Honor, I think it would be good for you to engage in that colloquy now. We have one short witness before he would testify, if he continues to want to testify.
Sister
Mr.
Sitter.
Murdaugh, if you come forward and stand in front of me, and Madam Clerk, if you will swear him.
And I'm not sure, he gets sworn in here and then he gets sworn in again before he goes on the stand.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. At this time, I'm going to explain to you certain of your rights. If you do not understand anything I say, please let me know, and I will explain it in greater detail. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
We have now reached the stage of the trial in which you are presenting your defense, and you have the right to claim the protections given to you by the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. This amendment states in part that no person shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. And this means that you cannot be required to testify. You do, however, have the right to testify on your own behalf. However, no one can make you testify. Whether or not you testify is a personal right, and no one can waive this right except you. If you decide to testify, you will be subject to the same rules that govern other witnesses, and you may be examined and cross-examined on any relevant issue in this case. If you decide to testify, the decision on your part must be freely, voluntarily, and intelligently made, with knowledge of the protections given to you by the Fifth Amendment and the consequences of your decision to testify. As I understand it, you have no convictions involving dishonesty or false statements or for any crimes punishable by more than 1 year imprisonment. But as it relates to any other relevant issue as determined by the court, you may be examined or cross-examined on any relevant issue. You understand?
I do, yes, sir.
If you decide not to testify, I will instruct the jurors that they cannot give the fact that you did not testify any consideration whatsoever, and that there is to be absolutely no prejudice to you because you did not testify. It is left entirely up to you whether or not you testify. You may talk with your attorneys, Mr. Harpootlian, Mr. Griffin, Mr. Barber, Ms. Fox, family, friends, or anyone else, but the final decision will be left entirely up to you. Do you understand what I've explained?
Yes, sir, I do.
Do you have any questions whatsoever as to what I've explained?
No, sir, thank you.
Yes. And you've talked with your lawyers about whether or not you've testified. Mr. Harpootlian just suggested advice he's given to you. The court has no comment whatsoever as to whether you should or should not testify. But do you wish to confer with lawyers some more about whether or not you should testify?
No, sir, I don't need to talk to them anymore.
Have you made a decision as to whether you're going to testify?
Yes, sir.
All right. And what is your decision?
I am going to testify. I want to testify.
All right, very well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, we'll have one short witness before Mr. Murdaugh.
So that is how it came about that Mr. Alec Murdaugh ended up on the stand yesterday. He's going to testify. So, Mr. Murdaugh.
It's heavy, and taking prescription pills also makes you sweat worse, or at least taking oxycodone makes you sweat.
Oh, this is what he was talking about, his
And what did you do when you got back to the house?
sweat.
I lay down on the couch.
And then what? Well, when you say I've been up to it now and it's bad, what are you referring to?
But I mean, I thought they would be there. I mean, I distinctly.
Okay. Oh, I see what my sister was talking about. All the bald
Skip
heads.
something.
Well,
Was Maggie planning to go over to your mother's with you that night?
No, she wasn't planning to go with me that night. No, in fact, Maggie didn't really like to visit my mom. She loved to visit my dad, and she loved to spend time with my dad. And she spent a lot of time with my mom when my mom was healthy. But, you know, I mean, by this point, my mom, she was a shell. She was a shell of her old self. And I mean, it was kind of sad to go and visit her anytime. I mean, she wasn't healthy, and Maggie didn't like to go and just visit my mom.
When you left Moselle to head to Alameda the evening after you had come back to the house at Moselle, what exit did you use of the Moselle property when you were going to Alameda on the evening of June 7th?
I went out the main gates, which would be straight ahead. You've heard the two gates. There's the shop entrance. There's actually several entrances, but the main ones we used, there was an entrance by the Dove Field, there was an entrance further down by Sawtooth Oaks, but the main ones we used were the shop entrance and what we call the main entrance, where the brick gates were.
Did you go? Why didn't you go by the kennels on your way out?
There wasn't a reason to go by the kennels at that point, and I was going to Alameda, which the main gate would be the gates that were closer.
Did you notify Maggie in some form that you were leaving to go to see your mom?
I tried to call her.
And did she answer?
No.
And what'd you do after that?
I think I tried to call her again.
And did she answer?
No, she didn't answer. And at some point, I texted her after that.
Well, the fact that she didn't answer 2 times, so did that concern you?
At that time,
Right.
it didn't concern me at all. Number one, she was with Pawpaw. So, no, I mean, number two, I mean, it's not unusual to not be able to get somebody all the time when
I agree, Emery. I've
they're at the
enjoyed.
house or they're it's on the property. I mean, you've heard all the testimony about how spotty cell service.
I don't
was.
think he
No,
cares
at the time,
for
didn't strike
all
me as
the-
anything unusual.
shenanigans. Like he's like over it.
No,
Can we
moving
move on now? Can we
Back
get
to Alameda, you
past
spent
all
time with your
this
mother,
and
and
just
then you left to head back
get
to
a-
Moselle, is that correct?
yes or no here?
That's correct.
Did you drive straight back to Moselle?
I did.
Now, there's some information from the telemetry data off your Suburban and perhaps some of this OnStar GPS data that indicates that at some point in time in your mother's driveway, you stopped for about a minute. Do you recall seeing that data?
I did.
What were you doing when you stopped?
I
Do you
was
recall?
getting my phone. My phone had gotten, there was a console in the middle of my car, and my phone had gotten down in the console, between the console and the seat where you couldn't get to it.
Were you,
See, I wouldn't think of details like
in
that if I was
minute
lying.
or however long it was, were you disposing of murder weapons out?
No,
Were you disposing of bloody clothes?
no.
And your ride back to Moselle was it? Were you driving faster than normal?
I was driving however I drive, normal way that I drive.
When you got back to the Moselle property, how did you enter the property? What entrance did you use?
Came right back through the main gate,
And what'd you do then?
went straight to the house.
And when you got to the house, what'd you do?
I went inside.
Sorry, that trips me out. Like I went inside.
Lights were on in the house for sure. I can't remember if there were floodlights on or not. I don't believe there were any floodlights on, but there were definitely lights. All the lights in the house were on, yes.
And when you, how long did you stay inside the house, roughly?
Now that I've seen the benefit of these records, I was in there several minutes.
Obviously, I mean, Were you surprised that Paul and Maggie had not made it back to the house?
You know, I don't know if surprise is the right word, but I mean, I thought they would have been back by then. You know, but I mean, did it cause me to go into any? It wasn't like I was shocked. But I mean, I thought they would be there. I mean, I distinctly remember, you know, I went and looked. Sometimes
I don't
I
know.
was very hot natured. Number one,
We're back to
I was heavy and I was taking pills. So I was always hot. Maggie was always cold. Sometimes she would watch TV. We had a TV in the hunting room. You see on the wall there. Sometimes Maggie would be in there watching TV where she could have the thermostat different than we always get the cold in the main part of the house. So I know I went in there and looked in there for her. It's not unusual for Maggie to be taking a bath and be not able to hear me. So I went back there and I know I did those two things and looked in those two places. And they weren't there. And so, you know, I knew they'd been at the kennels and I assumed they were still up there.
So what'd you do?
I went to the kennels. I may have tried to call them. In fact, I probably did try to call them. I would think I called them. But as I sit here right now, I'm not positive, but I would think I did. Would think I tried to call them to see.
And now, like, did you drive down to the kennels in your Suburban?
I did.
What'd you see?
So what y'all see pictures of? So bad. Can I have some water? Yeah, I went to
he needed that bottle of water real bad. Yes. So they didn't answer their phone. They didn't answer their phone. So he went to the kennels because they should have been back. There was no reason for them to still be down there. So he goes, and this is where he's going to describe what he saw when he arrived at the kennel in his Suburban. Because he's in his Suburban when he goes to the kennel.
Did you see them on the ground when you're pulling up in your Suburban?
I did.
And what'd you do when you came to a stop, Alec?
I think I jumped out of my car. I'm not exactly sure what I did, but no, I got out of my car. I know I ran back to my car, called 911. I called 911. I was on the phone with 911. And I was trying to tend to Paul. I was trying to tend to Maggie. And I just went back and forth between them.
Were you going to Paul and Maggie while you were on the phone with the 911 operators?
Yes. Yes.
And in a little bit, I'm going to play the 911 tape, but I just want to ask you, and you've told law enforcement that's been played here in the court, what did you do when you went up to Paul at some point in time?
And Paul. Paul was so bad. At some point, I know I tried to check him for a pulse. I know I tried to turn him over.
When you say you tried to turn him over, why were you trying to turn him over?
I don't know. I don't know why I tried to turn him over. Me and my boys laying face down. And he's done the way he's done. His head was the way his head was. I could see his brain laying on the sidewalk. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I tried to turn him over. Grabbed him by the belt loop. I tried to turn him over. And when I did, his phone popped out. His phone popped out. And I just picked it up and I put it right back there.
Do you have any idea how it popped out?
I mean, I know it came out of his pocket when I pulled on his belt loop. When I pulled him to turn him over. And it just popped out. And I mean, it popped right beside him. It sat right beside him.
Were you able to turn Paul at all?
I mean,
I don't see how he can just turn that emotion off like that. Ugh. Yeah, Mr. Alec Murdaugh, you're making me angry.
I did it. If I was able to, I did it. Turn him over. No.
What side of the what side of Paul were you in?
I was on.
You guys, do y'all remember? Hold on. Do y'all remember when we did the Aspen Jeter case? The little girl that her mom was murdered. The dad took her, ended up here, and they were found an hour from here. That's the family's attorney right there. Huh. Oh, Candy, that was one that we covered, and we was able to provide some tips that led to his whereabouts, and we were able to bring Aspen home safe, and she is home safe and with her mom's family and being very well taken care of. A lot of medical conditions, but it was a very good case. But that gentleman right here behind this bald-headed man that is doing all the talking was their attorney.
I was on the side that was away from. I was on the side that was away from where my car was. I mean,
What'd you do with the phone?
I put it back on Papa.
You know if you put it, you know which way it was pointing, upside down, downside, anyway?
Couldn't tell you anything about it. I know his phone popped out. I picked it up and I put it back on him.
Did you see any messages on Paul's phone?
No.
Did you go to Maggie?
Did.
Did you touch her?
I did.
Where did you touch Maggie?
I think I touched her down just around like, I don't know. If you ask me exactly, I think I touched her down around her waist, but I don't know. It was so bad. Excuse me. I know I went back and forth. I went back and forth between them. I know I did.
I'd like to play Doug, the Colleton County portion of the 911 call, which is in evidence as defendant's exhibit number 9. And Doug, this is the long version, the first clip, and stop it when I say stop it, please.
2021, 22 hours, 7 minutes, 9 seconds.
I'm still here, okay?
Colleton County Communications.
And I have an Alex Murdaugh on the line calling from 4147 Murdaugh Road. He's advising that his wife and child was shot.
Okay, and sir, give me the address again.
It's 4147 Moselle Road. I've been up to it now. It's bad.
Okay, how did they shoot?
Alan, when you say I've been up to it now and it's bad, what are you referring to?
I'm talking about what I saw was what y'all saw pictures of. And I mean, it was bad. It was terrible. And when I first got there, I know I got out of the car. And I mean, I know I got out of the car. I mean, I knew. Got out of the car, but right at first, I went all the way to them. I think I ran back and that's when I called 911. And so I called 911, and while I was doing that, then is when I went to Maggie and I went to Paul. And so that's what I think I'm talking about.
Okay. Keep going, please.
Oh, no. Hell no. Up to it now. It's bad.
Okay, how did they shoot? Did they shoot themselves?
Oh, no. Hell no.
Okay, and are they breathing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and you said it's your wife and your son?
My wife and my son.
Are they in a vehicle?
No, ma'am. They're on the ground out at my kennel. I copy.
Okay, and did you see anyone?
He shot in the head, and he shot really bad. He shot it.
Okay, where is he shot at?
Ma'am, I don't know, but he has blood everywhere. I can see his brain. Face down. I tried to turn her a little bit, but she's got a hole in her head.
Okay, is he breathing at all?
No, nobody.
Is he? Okay, do you see anything? Do you see anyone in the area?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No.
Is there any guns near them at all?
No, I just here.
What color is your house on the outside?
If that's what you're asking, they didn't shoot themselves, ma'am.
What?
Alec, right in there, you saw.
So Kristen made a very good point that Alex didn't account for the Snapchat that was found on Paul's phone, or Paul's phone, or whatever you want to call him. I'm going to stick with Paul. But that has already been discussed earlier in the trial, and the person that was Snapchatted was already on stand. The nose thing is nasty. I'm trying to avoid looking at that. He has lost a bunch of weight. A bunch of weight. He was much bigger than he is today. I mean, he looks healthier. But, I mean, I guess you have to keep up the appearances, right?
Say the word here. What are you calling anybody or anything?
No, I'm talking to that dispatcher.
And what did you mean when you said here?
If you listen to that call, one of the first things she asked me, was, did they shoot themselves? And I knew there's no way I mean, I knew they didn't shoot themselves. It wasn't a gun. They didn't shoot themselves. And she'd asked me that. And then she asked me another question, something about that. And you hear me say here, and then you hear the thing talking. I'm telling her here, and then I say something, and then you hear me say, if that's what you're asking. And I'm letting her know they didn't shoot themselves. I'm saying here, and then I give her an explanation, which you can't hear on that phone, but it's obvious to me what I'm doing. And I say, if that's what you're asking me. So like David Owens asked me on August 11th, did I call a dog or was I talking to somebody? There was no dog that was out and there was nobody there.
Well, let's talk about that briefly. Well, when you got there and you saw Maggie and Paul, where were the dogs?
The dogs were in the kennels. Dogs were in the kennels. They were wherever they were when law enforcement got there.
And you've seen pictures, and they called Dale Davis to the stand and talk about the hose rolled up. Did you roll the hose up?
No.
Did you do anything down there at the kennels when you got there other than call 911 and attend to Maggie and Paul?
No, I do know that I was trying to find a flashlight. I was trying to find a gun. Other than those things, no, I didn't do anything at the kennel. I didn't do anything with any hose. I didn't do anything with any dogs.
Was there anybody with you?
No.
All right, keep going, please.
You can't see it from the road.
Okay, is it a house or a mobile home?
It's a house.
Okay, and what is your name?
My name is Alex Murdaugh.
Okay, did you hear anything or did you come home and find them?
I've been gone. I just came back.
Okay, and was anyone else supposed to be at your house?
No, ma'am. Please hurry.
We're getting somebody out there to you.
Oh, man. Oh, should have known.
Alec, we just heard you say, I should have known. What are you referring to?
I said, Paul, I should have known.
What were you referring to?
I was referring to Paul got so many threats. Didn't take serious. Think twice about. So I'm just telling him, Paul, I should have known. I don't specifically remember saying that, but I can clearly hear myself say that.
Okay. What kind of threats did you understand Paul was receiving?
I mean, Paul got the most vile threats. I mean, the stuff that was on social media, I mean, it was, I mean, you couldn't believe it. You couldn't believe it. It was so over the top. Truthfully, we didn't think anything about it. I mean, it was just so crazy that, we just, I mean, people talking about what he was going to get and how they were going to do this and get him. And I mean, it's stuff you really, I mean, we disregarded it because it's so over the top. Thought it's so over the top.
Keep going, please, John.
Okay, what is her name?
Maggie is home.
Maggie is her name?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When's the last time you talked to Maggie?
Hour and a half ago, probably 2 hours ago.
What? Okay, you said about 2 hours ago you talked to them?
Approximately, yes, ma'am, approximately.
Well, you were asked the last time you saw them, and you said hour and a half, 2 hours ago, and then she followed up 2 hours ago. You just heard that?
I did hear that. And I said approximately to her question.
When was the last time you saw them, Maggie and Paul?
Right after I took the chicken from Bubba.
And the video
Okay, so we are back to the chicken in Bubba's mouth. And if you're confused, Bubba is one of the dogs at the kennel. And I'm going to leave it with Bubba having the chicken in his mouth. And then we will finish tomorrow. But I think I may start earlier tomorrow, like once I get up, and so we can really break this down because it gets better. Like, it gets better, you guys. And I will leave it at that. Casey doesn't know about the boat wreck. So, sister, what I want you to do, sister, go watch it on Netflix. It's only a couple of episodes, and it gives the details of the boat wreck and another incident that may have caused this incident of murders to occur. It is called Alex Murdaugh. Something south. I don't remember the name of it. It has Paul's girlfriend. She talks about their time together. It was pretty good. Just go look up Alec. Oh, here it is. Murdaugh Murders on Netflix. It's called A Southern Scandal. Netflix Murdaugh Murders, A Southern Scandal. Yeah. Make sure it's not a tantric boat wreck. Anyways, you guys, Killshot's going live on his channel. If somebody wants to drop the link, Killshot's going to go live in a little while. I think it'll be 11 my time. So, like 50 minutes. So, I will see you guys there. I love you guys. I will see y'all tomorrow, and we'll break down some more of all of this. Good night.